Hi, thank you so much for joining me here on Decorum TV. I'm Donna Cooper. I'm your host, also known as Caregiver Coop. This is about all things for caregivers. And remember, I see you, I hear you, I feel you because I am a caregiver. And I actually have a special guest today.
Hello, guys.
He said, hello, guys. This is actually my nephew. And even though he's not a caregiver, but taking care of nephew sometimes is part of being a caregiver. So he's here with me in the booth today and he's going to help me with the tips. You want to help with the tips?
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, first of all, we're going to do a recap today. Do you know what a recap is?
No.
No, a recap means we're going to go over the things that I already told everybody about. I gave them 5 tips for being a good caregiver or helping being a caregiver not be so stressful. Okay. Do you
Okay.
have any idea of what tip number 1 is?
I have no
He
idea.
has no idea, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to wait just a moment before we get to tip number 1. But first, I've got to remind everyone of why I do these videos. I was a caregiver and I had no idea that it was going to be so lonely and so stressful. So I started making these videos and doing funny things just to make myself laugh. And it turns out that my mom is very funny, even though I'm going crazy as a caregiver. She was making me laugh. Like I'd run out and then I'd call back to make sure she was okay. And she'd answer the phone and say, "Who is this?" Grammy. Why would she do that? Or sometimes I'd take her out and she'd go, "Help, help, help." And I said, "Mom, why are you calling for help?" And she's just like, so everyone's going, "Are you okay? We're in the middle of a grocery store." And she's yelling, "Help." That's not funny. But as a caregiver, I have to appreciate her sense of humor, even though there's times when I've had to diffuse a few situations. But anyway, that's my life as a caregiver. So let's get to recapping the tips. Ask me, what's tip number 1?
Number one is
Tip number 1 is self care. Do you know what self care is?
no.
Self care is taking care of yourself. Because sometimes I get so caught up in taking care of your grandmother that I forget that I need to take care of myself also. So, being a caregiver, it's great to be Johnny on the spot and there for their medicine and helping them bathe and shower and do all the things we do for them. But self care really is important because if you don't take care of yourself, then you can't take care of anybody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Now, tip number 2 is it's not something people don't know, but you know what? It's something we forget. Do you want to take a guess? What do you think is tip number 2?
I think tip number two is about making food and putting food on the table.
Oh, okay, that is a great tip. Actually, this tip number 2 is listening. Has anybody ever told you to listen?
Yes.
I think they must tell him a lot. I can tell by the way he's laughing. Yes, listening. And we all know listening is something that we all do. But I realized that I wasn't really listening to Grammy. I wasn't really listening. I knew what I thought she was trying to say, but I had to slow myself down and really pay attention and look her right in the eyes and say, "Oh, I hear you. I understand." And I noticed when I started using those words, it made her feel better. So when you're talking, if you want someone to know that you understand them, you just look at them in the eyes and say, "I hear you," and say, "I understand." Okay?
Okay.
See, it works for kids as well as adults, and it really works for caregivers, especially if you're dealing with a parent or someone who's older than you are, who feels challenged by old age, because it's going to come to all of us. We just don't know in what form it's going to come. All right. Tip number 3. Oh, you're going to like this one. Tip number 3, reminder, is to play some music that they will like. You have any music you like?
I like I forgot the name of it, but
That's okay. Can you sing a little bit of it?
um I forgot the lyrics because it's been a very long day.
Well, I thought you said you could do some kind of, you said you could make some noise for me. You're going to do a beatbox? Can you do that right now?
Mhm.
Go ahead. Okay. I don't know if the person you're taking care of likes beatbox music. Beatbox. I haven't heard this in ages. Keep going. Keep going. I don't know if Grammy likes this or not, but if he's doing it, I'm sure she loves it. But remember, play them some music that they love. Because when you hear music, it makes you feel good. It makes them smile. It makes them happy. Honestly, music during the day makes them feel so much better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. All right, moving on. Tip number 4. All right, I don't know if you want to be around for this one. This is kind of a long one. Are you okay still staying on the show or do you want to leave?
Okay.
You're okay? All right, sweetheart. We're going to do tip number 4. And that's actually a different one. I don't know if anyone as a caregiver has ever suggested this, but it's be a friend. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to mention this. Yes, I was being way too busy and moving way too fast, and I slammed my finger in a closet door. So I've learned to go a little slower and be a little more gentle with myself, meaning more self care. All right, back to tip number 4, be a friend, not a child and not a parent. Because when you're a child, we depend on our parents to tell us what's right and what's wrong, right?
Yes.
Right, exactly. And we expect our parents to have all the answers, right?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. So as a child, when I go to take care of my mom, I expect her to have all the answers. And she doesn't always have all the answers, especially now that she's a lot older. So I can't be a child when I approach caregiving. I can't think of her as my mom because it just gets in the way of genuine care because I'm so busy asking her questions or what would you like? It's not like I don't care about what she wants, but a lot of times she's just exhausted mentally and physically. And she wants me just to bring her some lunch. She doesn't want to have to make decisions. And sometimes it's not just about what do you want to eat. It's decisions about insurance, it's decisions about doctors. It's about decisions that are very important. So it's important not to approach caregiving as the child, like, okay, mom, I can help you out. But no, you've got to put yourself more in a position of authority. And also not to approach caregiving as a parent. When I start to parent my mom, she gets a little mad. Well, not a little mad, but she feels like I'm being very condescending and not being very nice to her. And that's not what I mean. I think I'm being very nice. But if I'm thinking of myself as the parent and she's the child now, that doesn't really sit very well with her. So my answer is to approach caregiving as a friend. Do you know what a friend is?
Yes, it's someone that cares about you and looks out for you.
Yes, that cares about you and looks out for you. So it's basically the same thing as a family member, but there's not that emotional baggage. And I'm going to trust, might not be so, but there's always some emotional baggage when it comes to family members, especially taking care of mother, father, or some older adult that's taking care of you at some point in time. So to keep the baggage out of the way, you approach it as a friend. I just know that works for me very well. I approach caregiving as a friend, then when I need to help her with something or make a decision about something, I don't feel so emotionally tied to it. I can be clear headed and think of her as a friend because I like my friends. Are you my friend?
Yes.
Oh, yay! I love having another friend. Okay, brings us to our last tip. Hang on. Oh, this is a good one. Can you take a guess what you think the last tip is?
No,
I was trying to read my handwriting.
it's in cursive though.
Right. It says no complaining. Do you know what complaining is?
Yes, it means like your food is cold and you cry a lot and you're whining.
Exactly. This definitely is my nephew. Food is cold, you're crying a lot, and you're whining. I say no complaining to his grandmother, and I say no complaining for myself. Not to be mean, I wanted to express herself, but complaining doesn't do anyone any good. Because when you're complaining, that means you're talking about something that either you can't change, or you don't want to change, or that cannot be changed. So if you say, oh, here's some food and it's cold, you can say, my food is cold, and then I can heat it up. That's very easy. That's not complaining. But if you say, oh, every day you give me bologna sandwiches, I don't want bologna sandwiches. That can be changed. You don't have to complain. You can just say, I don't want a bologna sandwich today, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So that's what I try to tell my mom, even though, trust me, I don't give her bologna sandwiches. But I encourage her just to express herself and that there's always a solution. If there's not a solution, then we move on to something else. If she's been complaining about an earache for a couple of days, I'm like, Mom, either we make an appointment with the GP, go see the specialist, or I put a little drop of olive oil in there and you let me know how you feel in a week. It's not that I don't want to hear her express herself, and it's not that I don't want to express myself, but we try to stay in a solution. And I actually got that tip from a book that I wrote. Did you know the book that I wrote? No. It's called
Uh,
Achieving Fulfillment. Actually, I wrote two. Actually, I wrote three books, but this one book we're talking about is called Achieving Fulfillment, and it's one of the 10 things I put in there that's supposed to be a good way to help us navigate life. Little tips to help us get through life and feel better about ourselves. But it's also a great book for caregiving because it reminds us of things we need to do. I mean, listening and self care and being a friend are all things we know to do, but sometimes, and I have been in this position, I get so busy and so caught up in everything I have to take care of, I forget. I forget sometimes to take care of myself. I put on my exercise clothes, and then the next thing you know, it's 8:30 at night, and I still haven't exercised. I still haven't taken a shower, and I still haven't eaten a decent lunch. I'm eating a Snickers bar. Do you eat Snickers for breakfast?
no.
No, there you go. So, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much for joining us here on Decorum TV on our caregiver section segment. I love the fact that I have my nephew here with me today because, sometimes you do have to babysit. And I really wanted to do a recap because I've got so many other tips for you out there that I'm hoping that you have a pen or a piece of paper and you were writing things down. And if not, either go back, look at it again, hit the subscribe button, and subscribe to my channel for more great tips. And they're tips that are things that are not the obvious, they're different tips. And actually, this is a place where all caregivers are supposed to come to just relax and take a breath because our lives are very busy and very stressful, and we seem to be tired all the time. So tune in to Decorum TV, Caregiver Coop here, letting you know that I see you, I hear you, and I feel you. Thank you for joining me. Say bye.
Bye.
Take care. We'll see you here next time, and we'll continue on tip number 6.